This book is about cancer. Cancer sucks. So did this book. The end. What's up, you guys? I am back and I have a review for you today on Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. So let's talk about it. So this book follows a boy named Greg, his friend Earl, and they make these really weird films together that nobody cares about, and his ex-girlfriend or something like that his mom forces him to refriend when she finds out from her mom that the girl is dying of cancer. Don't ask me her name because I don't remember. There's no real plot to speak of. The book is mostly character driven, which is kind of typical YA contemporary. Initially, the main character really made me laugh. He cracked me up, but then it just started to get really fucking annoying. I was expecting way more character progression from Greg, and there really was none. And there was absolutely nothing significant about the girl that was dying, whose name I can't remember, besides the fact that she had cancer and she was dying. And then there's Earl. I have so many mixed emotions about Earl. It's not even funny. So let's talk about Earl, because that's really what I want to talk about pretty much for this whole video. So I didn't notice this until just now, but there's a line on the flap of the book that is describing Earl, and it says, "Earl is generally filled with violent rage." That's like borderline racist. Just what does that mean, Mr. Andrews? When we talk about diversity in books, what we like to see is we like to see more non-people of color reading more authors of color, and more non-authors of color writing characters of color. So sometimes when you ask for stuff, you get it, but it isn't necessarily how you want it. So on the one hand, I fucking hated Earl. Everything about his character was stereotyped to the max. He was from the inner city. He lived in a fucked up neighborhood. His mom was a drug addict. Dad was a deadbeat. Brothers were drug dealers. His house was fucking filthy. Oh, God. Earl. He was always angry. He didn't go to school like he was supposed to. He didn't do anything that he was supposed to. Every stereotype that you could think of that is portrayed negatively about black men in mass media was Earl's character. And then there was some other things about Earl's character that just didn't make any sense. Like, if he's this hard up person living in this fucked up reality, like, why the fuck is he friends with Greg? This annoying ass Jewish kid whose self-esteem is like non-existent. We are not even going to even begin to explore the dumbass comment that he made about bisexuality. We're just not gonna do that. But then on the other hand, I'm like, could Earl be a real person? Yes, Earl could definitely be a real person. Not only could Earl be a real person, but Earl is not telling his story. Greg is telling his story. But who's telling Greg's story? Jessie Andrews is telling Greg's story. So is Jessie Andrews telling how he sees this character, or is he telling how he thinks a white boy from Greg's background would see this character? And I don't know if he did it on purpose, which would give him a pass, or if he's just ignorant as fuck. I don't know whether I want to curse Jessie Andrews out or educate him, or both, or curse him while I'm educating him. I like that last idea because that includes both. For people who have read this book, did you have a problem with Earl? Did you have a problem with how he was represented, how he was portrayed, his whole freaking character? To the people that haven't read this book, have you ever read a book by a non-person of color? Why do I keep saying non-person of color? Have you ever read a book written by a white person that wrote a character of color and it was off somehow? I know that this video is gonna be all over the place because all I can just think is just like, I just want to ask Jessie Andrews a million questions. Like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why did you do that? Why? You could have made his character go so many different ways. Like, there's so many. all in all, the book was not that bad. I ended up giving it 2 stars. So I would recommend it to anybody who is at the library and there just happens to be no other book to read but this one, and there's not an apocalypse going on where it's freezing cold outside and you have to burn books to keep warm. If that's not the case, then you should read this book. So yeah, that is all that I have to say about this book. Let me know, please, what you guys think, especially to the people that have read it. I'm really curious about your thoughts because most of the people that I know that have read this book really enjoyed it, but I don't know anybody of color that has read this book that has enjoyed it. And Earl, just Earl. God. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below in Marbella, and I'll talk to you guys later.